Okay, thanks for purchasing the Barbell Medicine Beginner Template. I'm Dr. Jordan Feigenbaum. I just kind of want to take you guys through what is included in the zip file. So after you open the zip file, you'll see this PDF, and then you'll see the Excel spreadsheet. Now, if you don't have Microsoft Excel, you should use Open Excel. It's a free internet-based Excel service where you can get all the functionality of Microsoft Excel for free on the internet. It's linked in the Barbell Medicine Beginner Template. Now, if we just kind of review this, the first 30 pages, first 29 pages are all specific to just the beginner template as far as the what, the why, the how, behind how we created the beginner template. And then pages 34 through 59 are more general template stuff, but I feel like you guys should give it a read just so you kind of know what you're doing. This is really good stuff, I think, to kind of know the why behind what is programmed. In any event, you'll get this template, and then if you copy and paste this link, you'll get to watch this video. Also, that link is going to be in the template as well. So if you're watching this, congratulations, you already found it. First thing is plug in the date here. So the Sunday of the week that you're starting, plug that date in, and then that'll auto-populate the dates throughout the rest of the template. Also, you can check the version. This is the latest version. It's from 5/20/2019, version 1.1. Let's go through the tabs first here. So this is the nutrition log, and you can plug in your weight in pounds, and it will auto-calculate to kilograms and also give you a 7-day trailing average. You can plug in your macronutrients, and it'll tell you your total calories, and then it'll do some other fun, fancy stuff here as far as like giving your average calories, average weight throughout the month, et cetera, and then we've got a bunch of other months here. Second tab, or next tab, is the calculator. So what you would do here, if you're a complete brand new beginner, I wouldn't use this calculator because you're a beginner. You don't have a 1RM, a 5RM. The RM stands for rep max. It's probably not useful for you to use this right now. But if you're in your second phase or third phase, or your second week, third week, fourth week, and we'll talk about this later again, this calculator will be handy. Now, what you can do is plug in your 1 rep max if you know it, and then it'll auto-populate all this rep work down here at different RPEs. So if you're ever wondering, I got to do a set of 6 at RPE 8, I need to work up to about 393 pounds if your 1RM was about 500. And these are good estimates, good goals to shoot for your workout. Now, let's go to analysis. This page kind of tracks your 1RMs over time, your 1 rep maxes, estimated 1 rep maxes based on the work that you've done during a workout. Overview, this is all of your training here. So what you could do if you wanted, basically, I think if you're using this on Excel, Open Excel Online or Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets, any of those things, it's best viewed at 50%. Using those apps, but if you're just using desktop Microsoft Excel or something, you can kind of blow it up so you can see week by week. So this is week 1, day 2, day 3. GPP stands for General Physical Preparedness and usually involves conditioning just for this first phase, and then that kind of expands during phase 2, which is after week 4, which you will know by reading the Beginner Template Handbook. Okay, so in any event, let's check out what we should do before starting here. So this is for phase 1, the first sort of 4 weeks at a minimum of the program. And so you should pick your squat movement, which again, if you're using Microsoft Excel or Open Excel, you'll have this functionality. If you're trying to use Google Sheets, this won't work. So I would recommend using Open Excel to pick your movements. So for instance, we have the back squat selected here. For the pressing movements, we have the standing overhead press and bench press. But if you want to change to like a leg press, you want to start with the machine-based program, that's totally fine. Totally fine. Same thing with the overhead press. If you want to start with machines or an incline, dumbbell work or bench press, you can do all of that. It doesn't really matter. Basically, you should pick an exercise based on your equipment that you have, your preferences, and something that you're likely to stay compliant with. So if you're like, I hate back squats, I'm not going to do them. I want to pick a movement, a leg movement that you're actually going to do, then pick another one, okay? Same thing on all of the rest of these movements, including the deadlift and the row here, okay? But we just kind of auto-populated this with exercises that we like, but there are no worse choices that you can make. So if you want to do a trap bar deadlift or a sumo deadlift or deadlift with dumbbells, that's all fine. You just pick one movement for each one of these things. Okay, and again, Open Excel or Microsoft Excel, the regular software, will work well for that. If we go to these weekly tabs, you can see week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4. So what that means, so week 1 is exactly what it sounds like. Just it's week 1, here's day 1, day 2, day 3, and your GPP or general physical preparedness work, which generally is going to be cardio, particularly for this first phase. This is week 2, week 3, week 4. Now, these other numbers like 4.2, 4.3, 4.4, 4.5, 4.6, and 4.7, these are repeats of the 4th week. So effectively, you're going to try to repeat week 4 until you're no longer making progress. So we allowed you to repeat it up to an additional 5 weeks. And if you're still going strong after week 4.7, all of your lifts are trending up and you're still seeing good progress, keep going with that. Only start switching to the second phase when it's not working for you, and there's a thorough discussion of this within the beginner template ebook. So in any event, so you've selected your exercises. Week 1's auto-populated. Now, here's what this means here. Let's go through day 1 of week 1 together, and let's review this whole sheet. So again, if you're viewing this in Microsoft or Google Sheets or Open Excel, again, it's viewed best on the web at 50%, but if you're using the desktop, you can make this a little bit bigger. So you see day 1 of week 1, we can tell that by the tab here. Exercise 1 is back squat. You're going to do 4 repetitions at RPE 6, 4 reps at RPE 7, 4 reps at RPE 8. And if you don't know what RPE is, go to your the PDF. Okay, open that up. Go to the weight selection, which is right here, and that has a thorough explanation of what to do as far as why we like RPE, how to use RPE, etc., etc. So I think that's a good place to start. And then in addition, if you want a little recap of how to progress, again, you can click on that and this gives a thorough explanation of how to progress. The idea is that if you're a complete beginner, you don't know any of the weights that you should be using or any targets. So you're going to do sets of 4 starting with the empty bar and work up to weights that feel like RPE 6, which means you have about 4 repetitions left in the tank. RPE 7, which feels like you have about 3 reps left in the tank. You could do 3 reps more, said differently, and then 4 reps at RPE 8, which means you have about 2 reps left in the tank. Again, that's where you should be your top set. After that, move on to the second exercise, which because we selected bench press, we're going to do that. You're going to do sets of 10, same type of deal. Start with the empty bar, add a little bit of weight, keep repeating that process until you get to RPE 6, something that feels like I could probably only do about 4 more reps with this. Add a little bit more weight. We recommend about 5%, adding 5% bar weight to jump 1 RPE at the same rep scheme, and then that should be about RPE 7 or 3 reps left in the tank, and then add another about 5% to the bar, and that should be about 10 reps at RPE 8, which means you have 2 reps left in the tank. And then move on to the third exercise, which are deadlifts, and do that same process. Now, I would recommend logging everything here. So for instance, for back squat, let's say that you did 100 pounds for 4, and you called that a 6, and then you added 5% to that. So you did 105 for 4, and you called that a 7. Okay, and you notice the intensity auto-calculates, so you don't need to enter anything there. And then finally, you add another 5%, 4 reps, and you call that an 8. So your estimated 1RM is 132 pounds. Okay, and you do the same thing for bench press for conventional deadlift. That's all day 1, and then you repeat the same thing for day 2 with the different exercise order and different exercises. Same thing for day 3. Okay, so that would be your week 1. Now, on week 2, you'll see that it's a similar rep scheme, similar RPE scheme, and this time you're going to do 2 sets at RPE 8. The idea is to see progress week to week in the amount of weight that you're using without necessarily going higher on your RPE. So one way to kind of figure out what you should be doing, you plug in 132, that's your estimated 1RM from week 1, and you look at what you should be doing for 4 reps at RPE 6, 7, and 8. So 6, you're going to see is it's a little bit less than 105. RPE 7 should be about 107. RPE 8 should be about 110, and in order to match this 1RM. or said differently, you should go a little heavier in order to beat this 1RM. So if I put in something like 135, okay, in order to make that estimated 1RM go up, I see different values here. So because the rep range is the same, 4 reps at RPE 6, 4 reps at RPE 7, 4 reps at RPE 8 for week 1, and then week 2 we see the same rep scheme, the same effort level, just 2 sets of RPE 8. We could, if we're feeling, if we've gotten stronger from week 1 to week 2, we could do 105 for 4, and that should be a 6, then 110 for 4, and that should be a 7, and then 115 potentially for 4, and call that an 8. And because we have 2 sets at RPE 8, maybe we should be able to repeat this set. Now, on the other hand, if you didn't get stronger from week 1 to week 2, which we expect you to, but maybe isn't always the case, you could actually just repeat the same weights, but because you're doing more volume, that does represent progressive overload. So I'd go here, 105, 110, 110, and yes, your estimated 1RM is the same, but you did another set. Okay, the idea is our default recommendation is to add 1 to 5% per week to your estimated 1RM, which, if the rep ranges are the same, means that you should just increase the weight by 1 to 5% weekly. The point at which you can't add 1 to 5% on more than one lift per week suggests that you should move on to the second phase, but we're only going to start determining that after you do week 4. So effectively, we have 3 weeks of build up to week 4, and then we'll repeat week 4 all the way until it stops working, basically again when more than one lift is not improving anymore. So let me delete this stuff for you guys and go back to week 2, make sure we delete this. So this is how I would fill out this log. The only other things you need to know about the log, so after you'd enter your reps and your weight and your RPE, at the end of each session you see this, okay, session time and session RPE. So this is actually the complete session time in minutes, including rest periods. So let's say it took you an hour and 15 minutes to complete, so that's 75 minutes, plug that in there. And session RPE is a 1 to 10 scale, 1 being a very easy session, you're ready to train again, 10 being I can't lift again for the next few days, I'm laid out, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. So most of your sessions should be between 6 and 8. So let's just say we rated this session a 6. If your sessions are turning into RPE 10, RPE 10, RPE 10 all the time, we would suggest probably lightening the load and making sure you're keeping your rest periods as prescribed. But in any event, this is going to allow us to track your workload over a series of weeks. And there are a few evidence-based suggestions here that basically compare 4 weeks of work compared to the 5th week. So basically, we wouldn't want to see too rapid of an increase in acute stress based on this workload in week 5, which is here, okay, compared to the first 4 weeks of training. And that's kind of explained here in the PDF. So again, would recommend reading that. So ideally, you've ran the first 4 weeks kind of building up to week 4's volume and intensity recommendations, and then you repeat that until more than one lift is not going up. At that time, and again, that's on a week-to-week basis, if more than one lift is not going up, then it's time to move to phase 2. Same sort of deal, use Open Excel or Microsoft Excel proper, choose your exercises based on your preferences, your equipment availability, and what you prefer. Sorry, I already got trapped in my sentence structure there, but hopefully you guys know what I mean. This comes auto-populated with exercises that we like, but if you want to pick different exercises, that's all good. And then again, week 5 is basically your first week of the second block. You're going to build up on week 5 to week 6 to week 7 to week 8. Week 8 is kind of like, this is the volume and the intensity that you're going to be doing. And then you repeat that for these weeks that are listed 8.2, 8.3, 8.4, 8.5, etc., all the way to 8.8 if you can. If your lifts, if your estimated 1RMs are still able to go up for these weeks. Once they're not, once more than one lift is not going up from week to week, move on to phase 3. And we're going to use the same sort of deal. So again, let's say if week 8 we were able now to squat 135 for 4, we called that a 7, RP 7, and then we added a little bit of weight, 142. We did that for 4 and called that an 8. And then we did 150 for 4, called that a 9. Subtract 10% from that, so that's 135 pounds. And we did our back offsets 4, and we rated that a 7 or 7.5. It's fine. So we'll just do 7, 7, 7, 135, 4 reps, and another set at 135. So that's what this means. Do a set at 4 reps at 7, 4 reps at 8, 4 reps at 9, take 10% off, then do 3 more sets of 4. That's the peak kind of volume we're working up to in phase 2. And then the idea is to beat this estimated 1RM of 174 in each one of these weeks. That would mean that your squat is going up. Okay, that's the idea here. So what you can do, again, since the rep ranges are staying the same, 4 at 7, 4 at 8, 4 at 9, take 10% off, do 3 more sets, you could just add weight explicitly to that, provided that you're staying within the RPE. That's the plan, again, to add 1 to 5% per week. Okay, so I'll delete this so you guys don't see that in your template. And again, make sure you're rating at the end of each session how long it took, the total session, and the session RPE. Once 1 or more lifts are not going up on this phase 2, move on to phase 3. And again, you have exercise selection to do. Do that in Open Excel. Pick the exercises that you like, and then move forward. We recommend, if you're okay with these exercises, like run it like that. But if you want to switch them, that's fine too. You can keep the same exercises from phase to phase. That's all fine. But in general, we're trying to figure out why your lifts weren't going up, why you weren't seeing progress. Was it the dose of the stress was wrong, which we do change from phase to phase, or was it the formulation, which might have to do with exercise selection? So again, adding a few different variations seems to help, and changing the dose of stress seems to help too. In phase 3, we see a similar sort of process. Week 9, week 10, week 11, week 12, they all build upon each other. And then week 12, you're repeating until you don't see progress anymore on 1 or more lifts, or more than 1 lift, and then you'll move on to a different program. So that's the beginner template in a nutshell. Again, each week, you can see these tabs. Here's where you should log your training. Hopefully that makes sense. If you want to see the overview of all of the training, go back to the Overview tab. The Analysis tab will show you a plot of your estimated 1RMs over time, as well as the exercise variations that you've chosen. And this is your beginner template. So again, thank you for purchasing the Barbell Medicine beginner template. Please read the text here. Please use Open Excel to choose your exercises, and then you can upload that to Google Sheets and use it on your phone. But you wouldn't be able to actually modify the drop-down, I think, on Google Sheets. It just doesn't work very well. So we prefer using Open Excel. And then if you have any questions on like how to do certain exercises, we have those in here and under exercise demos. This is linked so you can check that out. And if you have any questions, shoot us an email, info@barbellmedicine.com. Again, I'm Dr. Jordan Feigenbaum. Thank you so much for your business and good luck.